Instructor Sabal was responsible for the largest multi-world class in the entire galactic school, an impressive group made up of students from countless planets across known space. His role wasn't just about teaching facts and figures. It was about helping young minds understand each other, their worlds, and the cultures that shaped them. It was a place where knowledge flowed freely, and so did curiosity. But everything changed when Julie arrived, the first human student ever to attend the school. Almost immediately, Instructor Sabal noticed something troubling. Despite her efforts to befriend others, Julie found herself isolated. She often ate alone in quiet corners of the common area, far away from the chatter and laughter of the other students. Julie had become an enigma to her classmates. Earth, the planet she called home, carried a reputation shrouded in mystery and fear, often labeled a death world or even uninhabitable. To many of the students, Earth sounded more like a myth than a real place. That stigma seemed to follow Julie wherever she went, making it nearly impossible for her to fit in. Sabal watched as she tried time and again to reach out, only to be met with hesitation or outright avoidance. He decided it was time for a lesson, not just about planets, but about perspective. He believed that if his students could see how similar all their worlds were, they might begin to accept Julie for who she was, not what they imagined Earth to be. So, he assigned a new project. In 3 weeks, each student would present a video report on their home world, focusing specifically on its dangers, both animal and geological. Those who shared a home world could work together, but the assignment would count for 40% of their final grade. So effort was essential. Julie, being the only human in the class, worked hard on her presentation. Like everyone else, she wanted to show the truth about Earth, its challenges, its risks, and yes, its dangers. On presentation day, she sat quietly, waiting for her turn as she listened to the reports before hers. What kind of threats did these other worlds hold? She was about to find out. The first presentation was about a planet called Beri. 3 students from there described in vivid detail how deadly their forests were. They showed a video of a small, furry creature with 4 legs and a bushy tail. One of them excitedly pointed at the screen as the animal hissed and slashed at a dangling piece of cloth. Sharp claws extended suddenly from its paws, attacking the fabric like it was prey. "See," one of the presenters said. "Those razor-sharp talons weren't visible a second ago. If that had been your arm, this beast would have torn right through the skin." There was scattered applause and murmurs of agreement among the students. The presenters beamed proudly as they returned to their seats. But Julie just looked confused. Watching the creature, she couldn't help but notice how familiar it seemed. Instructor Sabal noticed her expression. "Did you have a question, Julie?" Still puzzled, she replied, "Instructor, wasn't that just a house cat?" A few students chuckled. Sabal raised a hand to quiet them, though a faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "No, Julie, that animal is considered dangerous on their world. Not something you'd want in your home unless you were willing to risk your safety." Julie nodded slowly and turned back to the front, still clearly unsure. The next presentation began with dramatic flair. The student presenting described a terrifying creature they called Death from the Skies. They explained how this predator could descend from above without warning, tearing flesh from bone and spreading terror across the land. With ominous music playing in the background, the video finally revealed the feared beast, a brightly colored flying creature with a short, curved beak. The presenter leaned forward. "Now, claws are bad enough," they said, "but watch the strength of this creature's bite." In the footage, the bird-like animal grabbed a hard seed and crushed it effortlessly between its beak, revealing the softened side. The classroom erupted. "Did you see that? What if that had been a finger? Thank the creator we don't have those." Julie stared at the screen for a moment, then waved a hand toward it. "That looks just like a parakeet," she said, a bit too loudly. Silence fell over the room. Murmurs spread, some calling her jealous, others whispering about how rude she was being. Sabal was beginning to worry. This wasn't going how he'd planned. Julie had always been polite and kind, but today she seemed almost defiant. "Okay, Julie," he said, trying to regain control. "Please come up and give us your presentation." For some reason he couldn't quite explain, Julie hesitated. She stayed in her seat. Instructor, she finally said, voice low, I fear I may have misunderstood the assignment. I thought we were supposed to show the dangers of our planet, not our pets. Sabal practically choked. Pets, he repeated, stunned. That feathered terror could never be a pet. Julie looked hurt. Under her breath, she mumbled something. I beg your pardon? Sabal asked sharply. A student beside her stood up. She said, my 4-year-old cousin has a stupid parakeet. Sabal glared at her. Julie, you will now give your presentation, or I will contact your guardians and you'll receive a 0. With slow, reluctant steps, Julie got up and walked in front of the class. Every eye was on her, and none of them looked friendly. She knew this could be the end of any chance she had at making friends. Still, if they wanted her presentation, they'd get it. Feeling trapped but determined, she began. My presentation is about the dangers we face on my home world, Earth. As she spoke, a video appeared on the screen, showing a blue marble of a planet slowly rotating in space. In the northern regions of my continent, she continued, we live alongside creatures that fear no predator. An image of a squat, powerful-looking animal appeared on the monitors. The scene shifted to a snowy landscape. Beautiful, serene, and deceptively peaceful the moment came suddenly. The creature burst up from beneath the snow, sending white powder flying in all directions. The entire class screamed in alarm, and Julie instinctively paused the video. The word Wolverine was frozen on the screen, superimposed over the snarling face of the angry little beast. What is that? One student asked, pointing a shaky finger at the monitor. Julie answered glumly, it's a wolverine. They're not nice animals. No, the student interrupted, eyes wide. What is all that white stuff? Julie stared back at the screen for a second before realizing what he meant. Oh, she said slowly, that's snow. Snow? What is snow? Now it was Julie's turn to be confused. It's rain that freezes before it hits the ground. A gasp of horror escaped the student. Your rain freezes in the air outside, not in a lab or something. Julie just shrugged. Yeah, for about 6 months out of the year, depending on where you live. Silence followed her words. It was clearly too much to process all at once. Unpausing the video, Julie continued. You can see how nasty the wolverine really is. It'll even attack predators way bigger than itself. She showed footage of small, fierce-looking wolverine snarling and charging at a massive grizzly bear. What in the 7 hells is that? Another student shrieked, pointing at the towering bear now filling the screen. Julie paused again, looking from the bear on the screen to the trembling student. That's a grizzly bear. They're everywhere on Earth. All over? The student stammered. How are you even still alive? Julie laughed nervously. Bears are dangerous, sure, but they're not even close to the worst things we have back home. You must be lying, a voice said from the front of the room. Everyone turned. It was Instructor Sabal. He was sitting stiff in his chair, visibly shaken. His voice wasn't accusing. It sounded more like disbelief. Smiling faintly, Julie skipped ahead in her presentation. The screen shifted to show calm, clear blue water stretching as far as the eye could see. 71% of my planet is covered in water, she explained. And in that water, there are all kinds of creatures. Fish, crabs, seahorses, squid, and others. As she spoke, pleasant images of each animal flashed across the screen. We even have what we call seals, she added, glancing at Dojit, an alien classmate who looked eerily similar to an anthropomorphic seal. Dojit grinned widely as he watched the playful seals leap and dive through the waves. Then, with a slight shift in tone, Julie continued, we also have sharks. Out of nowhere, a huge great white shark exploded on the screen, chasing down a seal in a cloud of red-stained water. Moments later, only bits of bloody meat drifted silently into the depths. Dojit sat frozen, mouth open, silent scream frozen on his lips. Stop it! Stop it! Instructor Sabal shouted, gripping the arms of his chair. Julie, stop. But Instructor, she said, eyes still on the screen, I haven't even told you about vampire bats that rip open your skin and drink your blood, or crocodiles, or lions, or snakes, scorpions, spiders, Just stop, Sabal gasped, hand clutched his chest like he might faint. Please. Doggett stared at Julie, eyes wide with terror. How did your people even survive? Julie stood up then, facing the room. Her classmates were pale, wide-eyed, staring at her like she just stepped off a warship instead of a school desk. Because, she said calmly, her voice carrying across the stunned silence, the most dangerous creature on Earth is humans. With that, she turned and walked toward her seat. As she passed between the rows, she noticed something. Her classmates shied away from her, moving slightly as if giving her space. Respect. Or fear. Maybe both. When lunchtime came, Julie almost cried. She knew what she had done. This wasn't going to make her popular. In fact, she expected the rest of her time at the Galactic School to be spent alone, quietly eating in some forgotten corner of the common area. But as she sat nibbling at her sandwich, her appetite long gone, a shadow fell across the table. Looking up, she saw Doggett standing over her. "You are awesome," he said earnestly. "Did you ever see a shark in real life?" He sat down beside her, without waiting for an answer. Julie blinked, surprised but happy. "Yes, my uncle, and I caught one while fishing once. It wasn't quite as big as the one in the video, though." "You caught one," Doggett said, impressed. "Imagine catching a beast like that." Another shadow appeared, then another. More students gathered around, curious and excited. "Can you tell me about those vampire bat things?" one asked. "They sound terrifying." And another chimed in, "What about piranhas? Are they real?" Julie smiled, trying to answer everyone at once. There were too many questions, too many eager faces. By the time the lunch bell rang, Julie wasn't walking back to class alone anymore. A group of students surrounded her, chatting and laughing, asking for more stories about Earth. Back in the classroom, Instructor Sabal watched from a window. A slow smile spread across his face. It hadn't gone exactly according to plan, not even close. But somehow it worked. Turning back to his desk, he tried to grade Julie's assignment. He even rewound the presentation to watch a bit more during lunch break. But when he saw what a fish called a piranha did to a large herbivore, he gave up and chuckled. "If she survived that place," he muttered to himself, shaking his head, "she definitely deserves an A." And so, what started as a lesson in planetary dangers became something else entirely. A bridge built not through diplomacy or science, but through shared awe, fear, and curiosity. Julie didn't just change how her classmates saw Earth. She changed how they saw her.